hearing? Yeah. I think we are going to start. Thank you very much for being here. My name is David. I'm a freelance developer, and I'm going to take you through we're going to work on a legacy application. That means existing ugly code, and we're going to improve that code and transform it to a web application and deploy it on the cloud. And we have 27 minutes, so plenty of time. So the idea is my boss is coming into my office and says, okay, you know this little application you're working on? We need to clean it up. We need to transform it into a web application, and we need to do it now. And I got to show it to some customers, so please start working. So hopefully you're going to help me. You will. No? Nobody? Yes, you will help me, please. So this is the application we're going to work on together. This application is a shop that sells items. Every item has a name, a quality, and a sell-in. Sell-in is also known as the number of days that you can remaining to sell the product. After, when the sell-in is 0, you cannot sell the product anymore. So this shop is very simple. There's a list of items, and there is one method to get the items and one method to update the quality. And then here, you can see the nicely coded logic of this application. So I need to sort things out. I need to add a new feature into this code, and I don't know where to start. What would you do? Delete everything. Okay, another idea? Execute. Yes, we could execute, so this is what it would say. I don't think it would be very useful. Somebody told me that this code was used by somebody else, but not through the main method. Okay, so I guess I'll have to guess how. And they didn't give me the spec also, so I don't know really what it does, except what I told you. So what I'm going to do, I propose to write some tests. Tests for two reasons. One reason is I want to work with the running code and see what it's doing. And also, by writing tests, I'm going to build a test harness that makes it possible for me to modify the code without breaking anything, hopefully. So that would be nice if we had tests already. No, there's no test. Okay, so I'm sure that you are working on projects where you have lots of legacy codes and lots of tests, but I'm not that lucky. So I'm going to write my first test, okay? For example, I want to make sure what are the items in my shop. So I create a new shop. Oh, I forgot to tell you that there's no slide in my presentation, okay? Just code. And I'm going to make an assertion on what's the content of my items. Okay, so first I like to test what are the names of all the items. So I could go and read the code and try to guess what are the values, or I can just execute the test and say, okay, I think that the names of all my items are, I don't know, just run the test. And the test will tell me these are the values that are in the list. Okay, so I just copy-paste. I can do that. It's not that difficult. So just a little bit of I save. Also, what I forgot to tell you is I've got a nice plugin here called Infinitest that will run the test automatically when I change the code or the tests. See, if I say, if I make a typo in my tests, it tells me that what I'm expecting is not there. And when I fix it, it's green. Nice, I've got very quick feedback loop, so I can improve my test. Same, I can disconnect my brain and just type what's written in this window. Oops, sorry, what did I do? So 10, 2, 5, 0, 15, 3. Turns out I need to plug my brain anymore. and the quality is 20, 20, 0, 7, 80, 20, and 6. Okay, I've got my first test. 1 minute ago, there were no tests, and now I've got the first test, and I can see the coverage of this test on my code. Let's do something like that. And see that I'm covering this part of the code and not this part. So I could spend some time writing a second test, then a third test, then a fourth test, and on my test, what I would do is something like that. I could say, okay, now that I know that I can list the items, I can also update the items and call this one public method I saw on the code, and I could fix the values that I'm expecting. So let's see what Okay, what should I expect? 19. But if I do that, it will take a lot of time to improve my coverage. But while I do that, I've got a nice idea. What if I use the existing code, I duplicate it, and one piece will stay unchanged, and the other piece will be refactored, and I test one against the other. Am I clear? Let's see what we would have to make it faster. I've got a macro, and it would be something like this. I would create a shop, a in, and another one, the legacy in. This one, I won't touch the code, and I get the items from one, and the items from the other. I check that the size remain the same, and then for 1,000 days, I would call the update quality on each shop, and I will compare the items, make sure that the name is the same on the left and the right, the quality is the same, and the sell-in is the same. The one thing remaining is to duplicate my code. Very easy. I could, here I'm just copy-paste, or I could import an old version of the jar. It will be a little bit more complicated, but it would work. Now I've got a single test that tests quite easily my code, and if I look at the coverage, it has improved since now it's something, oops. Now, almost all the code is covered. You can see here the green lines. There's only this main method that is not covered, but we've already seen that it does nothing. Okay, so very quickly, I managed to cover 100% of the code. Nice. You could have used different techniques to do that, but this one is the fastest technique. The only problem is your test cannot be used as a specification of your code. It's just a test harness, non-regression test. That's it. But it's already very good for what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to improve this code, right? So what would you do to improve this code? Sorry? Introduce methods. So you would like extract code into methods that would both document the code, that would break it into smaller parts, that would remove duplication. Other idea? Most of the people, when they look at this kind of code, they want to extract methods, or they want to extract constants. They want to remove duplication. Sorry? Yes. They want to find out common parts and put them into one method under one name. The only problem is if I do that too early, I will quickly fall into a local optimization. That means that if I do this for 10 minutes, in 10 minutes, I will have on my right very small methods, well-defined, well-documented, and on the rest of the code, I will have pieces of codes that are very similar to what I've extracted, but not exactly the same, so they were not extracted. And once I get that, it's very complicated to work on the code. So I can inline everything back and try again, do that lots of times. What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the duplication of the code. Most of the people, they want to decrease the duplication, remove the duplication. I'm going to increase it until my eyes bleed, okay? I want to see blood in my eyes. I want it to be very difficult to read. But I want the code to have a better symmetry. I want things that appear only one time in the code to disappear. I want things to be duplicated. I want the things to repeat themselves so that I can say, okay, now my eyes are bleeding. I can see there is duplication. I can remove it. It's 100% of it, okay? Also, one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my IDE that will tell me lots of things that will help me along the way. For example, here, it tells me that I can replace this for loop with a for each loop, and I'm going to do that. To make things easier to read, I'm going to extract this method, just so that you can read without me scrolling all the way through the page, and you feeling like seasick. Okay? So my technique is to increase duplication. Let me give you an example. Here, I've got 2 lines that are very similar to these 3 lines. And these 3 lines are exactly the same as these 3 lines. If I extract them right away, I've got this part and this part that will be on one method, and these 2 lines will stay here. And it will be then very difficult to find out that, in fact, they're doing the same thing. Also, if I look at this code, I'm testing on the name of the item. But for example, here I'm saying if not item get name equals something, and sometimes I've got if item names equals something. So I've got this if and if not. I'm going to kill all the if nots so that I have got more ifs without the note. So I've got more duplication, so when I extract things, it will be more efficient. Crazy mind. So let's do that. Show you the line number so that you can help me. Oh, I'm going to do it using my IDE, okay? It's very easy to do it like that. If you do it manually, you've got to swap the branches, you've got to rework the condition, bool algebra, not funny, okay? So I'm just going to invert all the if not. If not, if not. Normally, you should see the duplication increasing quite a lot. If I look at the code now, I've got no more if not name equals something. So more duplication. I think it will be good. I'm not sure. I hope. There's also this line here. If the name equals something or the name equals something else. So what I can do is I can split the if A or B into if, else if. And I can do it like that. Okay, so now I've got something like if the product, if the item is Brie and also it's backstage, this cannot happen. You remember everything I'm doing with this little green thing running all the tests every time so that I'm pretty sure I don't break anything. Here, if this is backstage and also if this is backstage, stupid test. Okay? So let's see if we can bring some symmetry in the code. Symmetry is good for your duplication rate. If you have more symmetry, you have more duplication, and then it's easier to extract. For example, here I test if it's Brie, or if it's backstage, or if it's sulfurous, but there's this one line here that caused me a problem. You know what I can do is, if I've got a if outside and an if inside, I can duplicate the outside if inside. It's very easy, see, like that. The if outside, I put it inside. Here it works because there is no side effects into the conditions. And when I do that, I realize that this one does nothing, and I can merge the else if. So here I've got a pattern that's coming. If it's Brie, or if it's backstage, or if it's sulfurous, or if it's something else. And if I look at the code, at the bottom of the code, there's almost the same pattern. If it's Brie, else if, let's merge it. Else if it's backstage, else if it's sulfurous, there's still this line here. So if it's sulfurous, return. We could put else here. It will do the same. Then we can remove the return, and we can duplicate the if inside. So we can remove that, and we can merge. Too slow? Too fast? So now we've got the same pattern on the top of the bottom of the code. And also by doing that, I start to understand the code. I start to understand that this item, sulfurous, we don't do anything with sulfurous. See? If it's sulfurous, do nothing. If it's sulfurous, do nothing. If it's sulfurous, do nothing. So I can put a guard at the beginning of my method and say, okay, if it's sulfurous, do nothing. Tests are still passing, and I can remove the useless code now. Okay, that was easy. So let's increase the duplication a little bit more. So remember these 2 lines and the 3 lines, it's exactly the same. What can I do? I think I can close the test here and remove this outer brace. Okay, it seems to work. The test passes, so it's a good. My idea was good, but let's understand why. Each time I want to increase the quality, I make sure it is under 50. Here I increase the quality and I make sure it's under 50. There's no need doing it twice. It's exactly the same as doing that, okay? Oops, one missing. It's useless. So this is why the auto test is not useful as a guard for these 2 lines. So I can close my brace here and remove this duplication I added. So now, these 3 lines, I found them here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and there's nothing, nowhere in the code, 3 lines that are similar, but not exactly the same. They are all exactly the same. So now I can extract my method, okay? Extract method, what does it do? It increases the quality. Increase quality, yes, there's a lot of duplication. Yes, replace them all, okay? If you look at the code also, there's these 3 lines where I decrease the quality, and nowhere else in the code. I've got these 3 lines, so I can extract the method. Decrease quality. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the format rules. You know, it takes too much space on the screen. So I want to see everything on the screen. Here, this one is easy. Do you know the result of that? Anybody? 0? Yes, 0. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now I've got something here that has the exact same structure as here, but there are these 2 lines here cause me a little of pain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, as usual, I'm going to increase the duplication, duplicate the lines. So this test outside, I'm going to copy it inside every test. Easy. Okay, I'm going to break the check style rules by doing that. Okay. And this line here, I'm going to duplicate it also, but up. Okay, so now I've got one block here that I can really merge with this one. Do you see? I can merge them. It's exactly the same test in the same order on the same things. So I can bubble up things. You know, bubble up, bubble up, bubble up. Oop, it works. Bubble up. Bubble up. Great. In fact, this line that I duplicated, I'd like to put it out of the ifs, you know, to have something like that. Here, I would really like to put it here. Let's see what it does. Breaks things. Okay, so put it back, put it back. I've got to plug my brain. What's happening? I'm testing on the cell-in just before I decrement it. So if I decrement it before, what what I'm really doing is that. If I decremented before, what I'm really doing is that. Okay? But this, you can write it like that. And this, you can write it like that. Okay, so now this line can go up. And now that it's up at the beginning of each if, I can put it outside and remove the duplication. Okay, nice. What I'm going to do is extract this into a single class and see. I'm going to call it item updater. See what it does. So the IE is doing everything for me. So lots of useless test code now. Here I can inline that and see what I've got is an item updater with one method that works on an item and two methods that are extracted. And what I'm seeing is some more duplication. I'm passing the item each time on each method. It would be better to have it as a field. So let's say we add a field. Up. We bind it to constructor. If I look back at the code here, now I pass the item on the constructor and on the method. So of course, I can remove it from the method. And here it is. So I've got only 6 minutes left, and my boss is coming to my office. So is it on the cloud yet? I say, oh no, but I think now I understand what the code is doing. It's pretty clear. When it's sulfurous, it does nothing, and when it's edge-breed, it does very simple things, backstage, very simple things. So I think I'm going to work on these cloud things, because 6 minutes should be a challenge. Should be a challenge. You know, I don't know what kind of web server you use when you're doing Java development. Is it WebSphere, JBoss? I like to use a main, you know, a main. Remember when you were writing things like this, when you were learning Java, what I would like to do is I would like to start a web server like this, and it would just work. For example, we could configure it. We could say that when I get the /URL, it would send me something like hello world. So this is using Java 8 lambdas. See if it worked. I need to start it. Yeah, that's the problem with main. You need to start it. Hello world. Okay. So it would be better to not have inline HTML here, but to have it into a directory. So let's try to do that. Very quickly, we're going to use Angular.js for our index. Let's see if it still works. Hello devox. We're going to remove that. See if it still works. Hello devox. Yes. Didn't restarted the server. So it's even faster than WebSphere. And I'm going to use Angular.js. Yes, and I'm going to use Bootstrap to make it ugly. So I'm going to put the web and the code on one side. And I need some more things. I need to write my Angular.js code. I'm going to do that in CoffeeScript. Why not? Okay. What do you want? No, that coffee. Okay. So I'm going to create a new Angular module called in. That's the name of my, forgot I was doing CoffeeScript. Okay, and I'm going to create a new controller. I'm going to use the old notation. I'm going to do HTTP request on my server side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an HTTP GET. I'm going to get all the items as JSON. You know, the items I just worked on, I'm going to deliver it as JSON. And when I've got my data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the scope, the items. Okay. So I just need to write, where is my web server? I need to write now another route that will serve the JSON. So let's go back to our items. What do we have here? Do we have our items? Please tell me we've got our items. No, this is not really an. So to develop an Angular application, you need to put some tags. Okay? And it should work. Oh, no. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. So I have 1 more minute. That's easy, easy job. So I've got an item, items, and I want to display the item name. And see if it works. Yeah, it works. So I want to display the sell-in and the quality. Remove the debugging things. And that's it. I've got an application that is written very quickly with modern technologies, CoffeeScript, AngularJS. All I need to do is deploy it into the cloud. So I'm going to answer to questions why we do that. I've got a very simple CloudBees script that does this. What it does, it zips my project, send it to CloudBees, and call the main method. And hopefully, when it's done, I should see it on the web. Time up. My boss is coming. I've got something to show him. I hope he will like it. The look is not really bootstrap, but if I have 2 more minutes, it's going to be okay. Thank you very much. Any question? It works. Thank you very much.